Welcome back, traders and investors, to Benzinga's pre-market prep, brought to you by MarketFi. I'm your co-host Joel Alconin, along with Brianna Valesky, and we have Antonio Figueiredo on the line. He is CEO of OptionsFlux. How you doing today, Antonio?
Hi, good morning, Brian. Good morning, Joel. I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for your invitation,
Okay.
and it's a great to be here with you this morning.
All right. Well, tell us about OptionsFlux. What it does, how you created it, and how it can help investors.
Yeah, OptionsFlux basically monitors all the options activity that goes into the market, and it helps us to every kind of traders to and special options traders to understand how the options activity are going, how it's the flow, trying to feel the sentiment if it's bearish, if it's bullish, how the institutions are trading, are placing their bets. So it helps us to know the flow and try to predict some things that, as we are seeing right now this morning on the market, the downside on the market that it was expected, and also the downside on energies, etc. All came from options activity that nailed pretty well the bearish move on the market.
Okay, I mean, yeah, we are have. What about that move yesterday? We had the bad day on Wednesday, gave it all, rallied like crazy on Thursday, and then now we're giving it all back and then some. I mean, that's some unprecedented volatility. So,
Yeah,
would you like to highlight some of the factors of what what's going on? Because I like I'm always looking for news. I'm looking
yeah.
for different things. You see anything in options activity that might have tipped you off on this?
Yeah, it was kind of funny because yesterday I've said early in the morning, okay, today we are probably going to say yesterday never happened, as Wednesday action never happened, and it completely erased the downfall on Wednesday yesterday. And yesterday midday, I start thinking, okay, and if tomorrow we are going to say yesterday never happened and Thursday never happened and we are going to fall hard, and it happened. I believe there are several things that are due on this volatility this week. First, I believe that it was the doubt of if the government was going to shut down at midnight or not. That is already overpassed because the House approved the spending bill, so they keep it working. But that brought some volatility into the markets. Also, there is the Japanese elections this weekend that is also bringing some volatility to US dollar and Japanese yen pairs. So that also can affect a little bit the feeling on the markets and the doubts. Also this week we heard from the Greece presidential elections that were anticipated for this month instead of March next year. And there are some concerns on Europe and on Greece due to the potential government collapse. That also affect a little bit the markets on Europe and also, of course, on US markets. It's kind of funny because if you on options flux, we kind of predicted the downfall on Greece. If you push up the chart on Greece on Grec, it's a Greece ETF. Past week on December 5 on Friday, we saw unusual options activity on that ETF. 10,000 contracts on put side when the average volume was just 2,000, so five times the average daily volume on the put side, bet on Friday. And from Friday to Tuesday, okay, you can see what happened. Big downfall on Greg, okay, and that was highlighted on Friday on options flux on very bearish options activity. That also continues during this week. That also helps to predict a little bit the worries and concerns on Greece. Also, the oil, it's affecting the market, okay? The oil continues selling. It's now under $60. It felt more than 40% on last 6 months. So, and although there are some traders trying to pick bottoms, oil continues falling. It's a falling knife. It can go lower, and I suggest people to and traders to try not to predict where it's going to stop and where it's going to bounce. So I suggest traders to wait for price and options activity. Options activity in the oil sector is pretty bearish. Okay, we can talk a little bit on that and review something. But options activity is pretty bearish on the oil and energy sector. So don't try to pick bottoms. Try to wait for the price and try to see where the momentum is going to reverse and we start seeing some calls going in. That didn't happen in the heavy calls on the oil and the energy sectors. So try to wait a little bit. And of course, the Fed, the concerns of the Fed are going to remove next week the considerable time text and for the rates increase. So all these kind of things can bring volatility to the market. They brought volatility this week, and that's why on Wednesday we had a big downfall. We had yesterday an expected bounce. Okay, it was an oversold bounce, dead cat bounce. It was expected after some heavy selling that we had on Wednesday. So and today we are again back to to the lows and testing the lows. So all this is can be explained from several kind of factors. So there is not one formula.
Antonio, everybody's talking about crude oil, so I want to talk about this a little more if you don't mind. I mean, I think
Yeah.
I saw a report that Bank of America said it could go down to $50 in the next couple of months. Based on the options activity, do you think that's possible?
Yes, of course. I really believe that's possible. I don't like to predict and to set price targets on stocks or on ETFs or on oil. I don't want to. I try to follow the flow and try to see if the sentiment is it's continuing bearish or if it found a bottom. What I can say from options flux information is that we didn't find any bottom yet and not any sign of potential reverse on oil and on energy. Okay, if we start with the XLE energy sector ETF on options flux, it shows very bearish options activity with a total put call ratio of 1.53. Okay, and although the ratio has been reducing from 2.23 of beginning of this month, the flow is still going into the put side with more than 120 contracts holding on January next year monthly expiration put 75 strike. So they are betting for more downside. They are holding their positions, betting for more downside on energy. Okay, if we go to oil and gas ETF, XOP, okay, options flux also shows bearish options activity with a total put call ratio of 1.55. We are having on daily basis 3 to 5 times more puts than calls on daily basis. So it's strong accumulation on the put side, betting for more downside. We have accumulation on January next year on XOP. Okay, put 47 strike with more than 40,000 contracts holding for downside. And also this week we saw some accumulation on put 44 strike with more than 30,000 contracts holding. Okay, so very heavy accumulation on the puts. Also on Yuzu, okay, another one that that's been on vertical downfall. It's making new lows, and we continue to see on the options flux more accumulation on the put side with more than 40,000 contracts holding next year put in the money 23 strike. So looking for the ETFs are pretty bearish and betting for more downside on oil and energy. Also looking for individual names as COP, Conoco Phillips. Yesterday we saw more 2,000 contracts sweep on February next year, put 60 strike at $2.23. So with the COP testing, predicting to test new 1 year lows, so more downside on COP. Also, neighbor industry, more puts going into the flow. Into rig, Transocean, also very heavy bearish activity. So not only on ETFs but also on the individual names from the sector, oil sector and energy sector, very bearish options activity. So I'm not going to try to pick bottoms and okay until we see some heavy calls pushing energy sector higher. What I can say it's for now we are bearish. Okay, we have bearish flow, we have bearish accumulation. Of course, we have some calls and some call activity on some individual names on the energy sector, but that's not the heavy flow that I'm still looking to find to try to say, okay, maybe we have a bottom. Okay, that flow didn't arrive yet. I'm still waiting. I suggest that traders try to wait patience, be patient, and try not to pick the bottoms on the oil. This can go lower, and this can go into the low 50s. Of course, it can. It can still go a little bit under that. We don't know. We don't know where this is going to stop. For now, it's downside, and I still believe that we have some more points downside until the beginning of the next year.
Antonio, I heard you talk about some of those when you were talking about XOP there. Were you were you talking about just the trading activity that's going on? Do you have any position? Do you take positions based on this information?
Yes, of course. I've been playing. Playing XLE for the downside. I've been also playing this on the ETF side. I've been also playing COP, COP. I've been playing for the downside. So yes, I'm bearish and I have some positions on the energy sector playing for the downside. Of course, everything under control because we and always monitoring when the big flow will come on the call side. But for now, the flow it's bearish and keeping the downside on the oil and energy sector. So yes, a little bit of my portfolio is on the energy sector playing for the downside. But we never know how the action will go today. For example, we are talking here, and we can see some big calls loading in on the energy sector today. I can't predict that. What I can say it's at the moment very bearish options activity and putting lower and making myself on my portfolio to bet on the downside on energy sector going into next year.
Okay, do you pay much attention to technical analysis? I mean, I can tell you're very, you're following the options flow and the activity and getting your clues from that. Do you use the
Yeah,
charts at all to help you? I mean, are you like all in and all out on these positions, or is this something that you take, try and take some profits along the way, or how do you do it? How do you position yourself?
yes, I started myself with technical analysis. So I started it by being a technical trader analysis, and I went from there to the options analysis, and from there to OptionsFlux. So I try to balance both my options activity analysis and with the technical analysis. I try to balance all. I try to not go as I'm not. I cannot say that I'm a fundamental trader. Okay, I don't go very much for the fundamentals on the companies. I go more with the technical and the options activity. And they have been working very well so far. So I try to balance both. And what we can see on everything on the charts, looking for example, for the oil and energy sector, is we have breaking down some important levels. Okay, if we go to the United States oil ETF uso, you see that we have broken down important level around 24 25 25 level. Okay, around that level we broke down, and we continue seeing some selling. There are traders betting, okay, it's time to bounce, it's oversold, it's trying to bounce, but we continue to see user, for example, going lower, and the price going lower, and also options activity betting for more downside. So I try to balance when we break down or we break out important levels, try to follow moving average, and try to see where we can find resistance and support levels. And so far we have been seeing some very heavy downfall, but things can go lower. Oversold can continue oversold for much more time, and day over day. So the important is try to balance both the technical analysis and the options activity, and you will do very well, in my opinion.
We have Antonio Figueiredo on the line. He's the CEO of OptionsFlux. Only have about 5 minutes left, but we got a couple more things we want to talk to you about, Antonio. Let's switch
Sure.
over to Momo stocks. Give us some of your outlook on Facebook.
On Facebook, yeah, Facebook it's has been seeing some very nice action. and it seems that that stock wants to close that open gap around 79.57 cents. But the stock saw some calls closed yesterday. So people that were bullish on the options start closing and start locking some profits, especially due the weakness on the market. But I believe that Facebook has some important momentum going on. Stock can pull back a little bit, but my levels for now, it's my resistance is right now at yesterday highs at 78.552. Above that, I believe it goes to close the gap, and it goes to 79.5 and maybe $80 area on long term, because there are also very bullish options activity going into Facebook, pushing the stock into the 80s. Stock it's above the Ichimoku cloud, above all the moving average. So in my opinion, while it stays above 76.5, $76.4, okay, I believe it will continue bullish. On options flow, I've been seeing on daily basis, I've been seeing twice the calls comparing to the puts, so two times more calls than puts on daily volume. So the flow it's pushing higher on Facebook. It can be good, but once again, as I always suggest, try to follow the price, try to follow the activity. Don't try to predict what is going next. And above yesterday as of today, I believe it can go close that gap that you are seeing there at 79.6. It can go there in the short midterm.
So, what about your thoughts on Twitter? We've only got about 3 minutes left with you.
Twitter seems to have found some support around $34.6. It's trying to hold above $36. I believe if it stays above $36, it can try to bounce higher. But honestly, I don't have any position on Twitter right now. I would only be bullish if stock goes above the EMA 8, okay, the moving average 8, above 37.6. If it goes above that level, then I have some hopes on the stock going higher. There is some bullish flow on Twitter. The put call ratio is it's bullish, okay, but the stock it's not reacting to that bullish flow. So I believe that traders need to be a little more patient and see if the stock holds $36 and if it goes above $37.6. Above that, I believe it can go higher to 38, 39, $40. It can go. But if for any reason it fails $36 and if it breaks down, stock can try again the lowest 35 in the short term. But all depends on the price will go and if the price will go higher or not on Twitter.
Okay, we've had Antonio Figueiredo on the line. He is the CEO of OptionsFlux. Thank you so much for joining us today, Antonio. We really appreciate it. We'll have to bring you back on again after the new year.
Okay, welcome. Thank you very much, Brian and Joel and everyone on Benzinga. It was a pleasure to join you this morning. I appreciate your invitation, and I hope to see you back on next year. I wish you all a great holiday season, a great Christmas, Happy New Year for everyone there, everyone that is listening us, and wish you all a great trading. And let's hope for the Santa rally. Let's hope it can give us some more profits this year into the Christmas season and the end of year.
All right, thanks again,
Thank you
Antonio.
very much. Bye bye. See you.